I'm Dina Hildebrand with Cooking for Kids. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans encourage healthy eating. They focus on foods and beverages that help us maintain a healthy weight, promote good health, and reduce our risk for chronic disease. They serve as the foundation for all federally funded food and nutrition assistance programs, including the child nutrition programs.
The Dietary Guidelines have been published every 5 years since 1980. The consumer messages emphasized in the last edition were balance calories by enjoying your food and eating less, increase foods that are full of nutrients, and limit foods that are high in solid fat, added sugar, and salt. These same messages are reflected in the current school meal patterns. Meals must include both a fruit and a vegetable and include a wide variety of vegetables. All grains must be whole grain rich. 2 varieties of milk, low fat and fat free, must be offered. And protein should be from lean sources.
Meals made following these guidelines and made with less processed foods will be better able to meet the requirements of having less than 30% calories from fat, no trans fat, and limited amounts of salt. Now we're going to take a look at how to design menus to meet the USDA meal patterns and, most important, be appealing to your students. One of the most important changes that you can make is to follow a cycle menu. Cycle menus help keep things interesting, and they can make your food purchasing more efficient and save you on labor costs. The cycle menu is typically about 20 days or 4 weeks, but it can be shorter depending on the number of food service lines that you have. The cycle menu itself might be part of a cycle. For example, you might have a cycle for the fall when you come back to school, one for the winter, and then another one for the spring. This not only helps keep things interesting, but helps you to utilize seasonal fruits so that you purchase them when they're less expensive and can also purchase from local farmers. All lunch meals must include a protein-rich food, a whole grain-rich grain, vegetable, fruit, and fluid milk. Breakfast meals must include a whole grain-rich grain, a fruit, and fluid milk. The amount of food that's offered to students depends on the meal service, whether it's breakfast or lunch, and the age of the student. We're going to focus on lunch.
When planning your cycle menu, start with deciding on entrees. It's the most expensive part of the meal, but will also be what attracts students into the cafeteria. In school nutrition, the entree is the protein-rich food item. Many food items count as a protein-rich food. They include lean beef, chicken, pork, whole eggs, cheese substitutes, yogurt, commercially prepared tofu, cooked dried beans, seeds, nuts, and nut butters, and lean cold cuts. In addition to protein, entrees usually provide iron, zinc, B vitamins, and vitamin E. Students following a vegetarian or vegan food plan will be looking for plant-based sources of protein, such as cooked beans, tofu, and nut butters. While these foods do provide protein, it is in a form that is harder for the body to absorb, so you'll need to combine them with vitamin C-rich foods. This will improve the absorption of both the protein and the iron. Examples include whole grain-rich pasta and bean salad, vegetarian chili and soups with tomatoes, bean burritos with salsa, and peanut butter sandwich with orange wedges. Students in grades kindergarten through 5th grade must be offered at least 1 ounce of protein in each lunch meal with a total of 8 ounces over a 1-week period. Students in grades 6 to 8 also need at least 1 ounce in each lunch meal with a total of 9 ounces over a 1-week period. The amount increases for high school age students to 2 ounces in each lunch meal, with a total of 10 ounces over a 1-week period. There are some protein-rich foods that menu planners should limit, such as regular ground beef that is less than 85% lean, hot dogs, bacon, sausage, and cold cuts such as bologna and salami.
The next menu item to consider is the grain. Many times the grain is a part of the entree. For example, it's the bread in sandwiches, it's the pasta in spaghetti, or it's pizza.
If a grain is not part of the entree, think of one that best complements the entree. For example, meats may be complemented with a hot roll, teriyaki chicken with rice, hummus with warm pita, or beans with corn or flour tortillas. The bread and cereals can be made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, or barley, for example. An important point is that all grains must be whole grain rich. This means that at least 50% of the product must be whole grain and provide at least 8 grams per serving. The easiest way to know that you are meeting the requirement is to look at the label. If a whole grain is listed as the first ingredient, the requirement is met. The food label also includes a whole grain stamp, saying how much whole grain is provided in one serving. For combination food items like pizza or burritos, look at the child nutrition label or product formulation statement. If you are responsible for food purchasing, be sure to include this requirement in your food specification. If you're making breads from scratch, half the weight of the flour must be whole grain. Important nutrients from grain foods include B vitamins, iron, magnesium, and selenium. Unlike refined grains like white flour, whole grains are a good source of dietary fiber which adds bulk to the diet. When students choose whole grain rich foods, they are more likely to feel full longer and not feel hungry during the mid-morning and afternoon hours. For lunch, students in grades kindergarten through 8th grade must be offered at least 1 ounce of grain with each lunch meal for a total of 8 ounces over 1 week. High school age students must be offered at least 2 ounces at lunch, making a total of 10 ounces over a 1-week period. Because the amount of moisture, fat, and sugar varies widely among grain-based foods, the amount needed for a 1 ounce equivalent varies. You will need to use the USDA Food Buying Guide, Exhibit A, to determine how much of a particular product must be offered. For examples, bagels and sandwich buns equal 1 ounce of grain per ounce of product. In contrast, 2 ounces of muffin provide only 1 ounce of grain.
When writing food specifications for whole grains, you'll not only need to include the whole grain rich requirement, but specify the size of the serving so that you can make sure that you get the 1 ounce equivalent that you're looking for. The next item in menu planning is the vegetable. Vegetables are naturally low in fat. They're high in fiber, potassium, as well as folate, vitamins A and C.
Vegetables come in a wide variety of colors, which is a good indication of their nutrient contribution. To be sure that all the nutrients are being provided, vegetables have been divided into subgroups. They include dark green, red or orange, beans and legumes, starchy vegetables, and other. Examples of dark green vegetables are broccoli and dark leafy greens. Examples of red-orange vegetables include carrots, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, pumpkin, butternut squash, and acorn squashes. The beans and legumes group contains pinto, black, navy, lentils, and garbanzo beans. Starchy foods include vegetables such as potatoes, corn, fresh black-eyed peas, and English peas. Vegetables in the other group include asparagus, beets, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, cucumbers, iceberg lettuce, okra, celery, and green beans. Lunch meals offered to students from kindergarten to 8th grade must include 3/4 cup of vegetables each day. Students in grades 9 through 12 must be offered 1 cup of vegetables each day. These daily amounts can be a single vegetable like broccoli or a mixture such as green beans and new potatoes. On a weekly basis, students in kindergarten through 8th grade must be offered a total of 3 3/4 cup that includes all 5 subgroups. The weekly amount for high school grades is 5 cups.
A good source of fresh vegetables is the Farm to School program. Contact your child nutrition program consultant or the State Department of Agriculture for more information.
While fresh vegetables are always a good choice, frozen and canned forms can also be used. Depending on the season, they may be more economical and require less preparation time. When purchasing vegetables, specify fresh, frozen, or canned, the grade, the cut, and how they should be packed. The USDA resource, Fruits and Vegetables Galore, Helping Kids Eat More, is available online. It provides product specifications for a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, fresh, frozen, and canned, that meet the needs of school nutrition. Fruits are naturally sweet and serve as a good dessert in school meals without adding extra fat, added sugars, or salt. Same as vegetables, they are good sources of nutrients, such as potassium and fiber, 2 nutrients that we don't eat enough of. They also provide vitamin C and folate.
Fresh fruit is always a good choice. Some students may like to pick up a whole piece of fruit so they can have it for later in the day. Other students may prefer the fruit to already be sliced so that it's more convenient to eat. This is especially true for younger students who may not have their front teeth or who may have braces.
For the best flavor and price, use fruits that are in season. You can begin this school year with peaches, plums, melons, and berries. The fall brings apples and pears, and you can usually continue these through the winter months and then add variety with oranges, clementines, and tangerines. In the spring, strawberries are in season and will be a welcome change as the weather becomes warmer. Canned and frozen fruits can fill in the gaps when fresh fruits are out of season. To keep added sugars low, specify canned fruits in fruit juice or water. Frozen fruits should have no added sugars. These can be served as side dishes or in fruit-based desserts such as apple or peach crisp. If the topping is whole grain rich, it can count toward the grain requirement, but you can only do that twice per week. Fruit juice also contributes to the meal pattern, but in limited amounts. No more than half of the fruit requirement can be fruit juice. The reason is that juice does not provide the fiber that is in fresh, frozen, and canned forms. Dried fruit can also be used. Because the moisture has been removed, it provides a more concentrated source of nutrients and calories, meaning less can be used. For example, a 1/4 cup dry fruit is equal to 1/2 cup fresh, frozen, and canned. Meals offered to kindergartners to 8th graders must include a 1/2 cup of fruit each day for a total of 2.5 cups over the week. The amount doubles for students in high school to 1 cup each day and a total of 5 cups per week. When purchasing fruits, the specifications should include fresh, frozen, or canned, the pack, and the grade. For the best value, match the grade to your use. For example, fresh apples should be U.S. Fancy, while canned apples can be a lower grade because they most likely will be used in fruit crisp, cobblers, or other combination dishes. The USDA Fruits and Vegetables Galore, Helping Kids Eat More resource, provides sample specifications for a variety of fresh and canned fruits. It also describes what to look for when receiving fresh produce and how to store to maintain quality.
In the world of school nutrition, milk refers to fluid milk. It's the beverage that's served with every school lunch and school breakfast. 2 varieties must be offered to students.
It can be a combination of fat-free, reduced fat, or lactose-free. Flavored varieties can also be offered as long as it is fat-free. Milk substitutes may be provided for students with disabling or non-disabling special dietary needs. These non-dairy beverages must have the same nutritional composition as cow's milk. Please check with your child nutrition program consultant for additional information. All students in grades kindergarten through 12th must be offered a half pint or 1 cup at each meal service.
Now, let's take a moment to talk about breakfast. The menu planning principles are the same as lunch. It's just the components that are different and the quantities.
At breakfast, all students must be offered at least 1 ounce of a whole grain-rich food item. The total number of ounces per week varies by grade group. 7 ounces for grades kindergarten through 5th grade, 8 ounces for grades 6th through 8th, and 9 ounces for grades 9 through 12th. As long as 1 ounce of grain is offered in the breakfast meal, the other grain can be replaced by a protein-rich food such as eggs, cheese, yogurt, and lean sausage. Fruit is one of the 3 required components at breakfast. All students, regardless of age, must be offered 1 cup of fruit for a total of 5 cups over the week. No more than half of the fruit quantity may be in the form of juice over the course of the week. For example, a school can offer 1 cup of 100% juice on Monday and Thursday, but must offer a fresh, frozen, or canned fruit or vegetable on the remaining days. And all juice must be 100% juice. The 3rd required component for breakfast is fluid milk. As with lunch, the milk must be either fat-free or reduced fat. If you choose to offer a flavored milk, it must be fat-free.
You have an important role to play in planning meals for your students. When you follow these guidelines, you'll not only be consistent with the dietary guidelines, you'll be meeting the requirements of the USDA meal pattern, and most importantly, meeting the needs of your students.